The Stranger Things Podcast, Season 2, Episode 4, Will the Wise.
Doesn't really matter. The point is, mistakes have been made, yes?
Mistake?
The men involved with those mistakes, the ones responsible for what happened to your brother and Miss Holland's death, they're gone. The ones responsible for what happened to your brother and Miss Holland's death, they're gone.
You still want to do this?
Let's burn that lab to the ground.
Hello and welcome to the Stranger Things Podcast, a fan podcast dedicated to the Netflix original series
Stranger Things.
I'm Daryl.
And I'm Addie.
How are you today?
Good.
I'm great too, thanks for asking.
I know, I was specifically not asking you.
Yeah, that's okay. It's okay. I'm a little sad that you don't care how I'm doing today, but I think I'll get over it.
I care somewhat.
Do you? Well, we care, both of us, I think. I think I can speak for both of us when I say that we care about you, and we're so glad that you have chosen to hit that play button to listen to us talk about Stranger Things today. As Addie said in the intro, we are talking about Season 2, Episode 4, Will the Wise, and boy, what a game-changer episode this one was. We were talking about it in the car yesterday. We were going out to the mall. It was you were having your birthday party with your friends, and we were talking about the episode, and I said, this is a game changer episode because so much happened. You had the situation with Jonathan and Nancy and their recording. That was a big deal. We found out the trueness of Dart. That was a big deal. Hopper found some tunnels. That was a big deal. Will has, seems to be completely taken over by the shadow monster. That's a big deal. And so many big things happen in this episode. I really felt like this was a turning point, and now it's just on for the rest of the season. Of course, I don't know. You do, because you've seen the whole season. And if you're new to our podcast, our format is Addie has binged the entire season one time.
The day it came out.
The day it came out, right. So she knows what's going on. She kind of has to hold back, and she can't say too much because she doesn't want to spoil me or those of you like me who are just watching one episode at a time. So I watch one episode. We talk about that episode. I make my predictions, and, she's talking about the things that she likes and that sort of thing. And that is our podcast. So I'm really excited about today's podcast. Let me give you the roadmap for today. We are going to spend the majority of our time breaking down the episode, just talking about it. That's in our episode discussion. Actually, before that, we have a short episode recap that we're going to share with you just to kind of refresh you on what this episode was about in case you are binging through it and you don't recall all the little details of the episode. Then we're going to give our episode ratings, which Addison has a pretty funny one for today. And then we're going to share notes from the Upside Down, which is what we call our listener feedback segment, where I have a quote of the week, and then we'll have some news to share with you. And of course, we'll get out of here with the meme of the week.
The meme of the week.
All right. So, Addie, why don't you get us kicked off by telling us some of the background on this episode?
It was written by Paul Ditcher, directed by Sean Levy, and
yeah, I didn't look up to see. Sean was involved with last week's episode, if I remember right. I forgot to look up to see what episodes Paul had already done. Let's do that. Let's take a moment here and give these guys their credit. So Paul actually was also the one who did the story on Chapter 8 of Season 1, called The Upside Down, of course. And we mentioned Sean last week. He was the director of last week's episode, in addition to Chapter 4 of Season 1, The Body, and Chapter 3 of Season 1, Holly Jolly. Have a holly jolly
Please stop.
Christmas.
Never, just stop.
All right. Well, let's continue on with our episode recap. Dustin, Mike, Lucas, and Max meet up with Joyce. She's looking for Will. They find him virtually catatonic in the field, while in the Upside Down, the shadow monster is forcing more tentacles down his throat. Will eventually wakes up and tells Joyce what has happened. 11 returns to Hopper, who is understandably angry about 11's disappearance from the house. They argue, and Hopper grounds her with no egos and no TV. 11 uses her powers to shatter all the windows. Nancy and Jonathan head off in secret to see Barb's parents. Joyce cares for Will and finds that his temperature is very low. Trying to warm him up scares Will, and he says to her that, quote, He likes it cold, end quote. Meanwhile, Barb's parents are no-shows, but Nancy and Jonathan are confronted by plain-clothed government agents. Will confesses to Joyce and Hopper that the shadow creature left some part of itself in him, which allows him to know things. Unable to verbally explain, Joyce suggests that he draw it instead. 11 cleans up the house and finds a hatch in the floor. Going down into a storage area, she finds a number of boxes, including one labeled Hawkins Lab. At Hawkins Lab, Dr. Owens explains why he had them detained, showing them the remains of the gate. He tells them that it cannot be destroyed, but it can be contained, stating that it is his job to do whatever is necessary to ensure the secrecy of what happened in the lab. He lets them go. Will draws a large number of seemingly incomprehensible scribbles until Joyce figures out that they are all a part of one large image. The completed puzzle appears to be a series of tunnels or tendrils, but Hopper works out that they are vines spreading under Hawkins. To test his theory, Hopper goes out to the site of one of the dead pumpkin patches. At the cabin, 11 finds Terry Ives' file and tries to contact her through the void. She manages to locate her, who is still near catatonic and reciting numbers. When 11 makes contact, Terry's eyes open and she says, Jane. 11 reaches out, but the connection breaks. Distraught, 11 begins sobbing and screaming, Mama! Mama! Mike goes to the buyer's house to help Will. Initially, Joyce tries to send him away, but since Mike mentions the shadow monster, she allows him to stay. Nancy and Jonathan leave Hawkins' lab and reveal their true plan. They had planned to be captured. Everything Dr. Owens had said was recorded. At Dustin's house, he finds that the tank containing Dart has been smashed, leaving a molted skin and trail of black slime. Dustin finds Dart eating Muse the cat, and it becomes apparent that his pet is actually a young Demogorgon. In the pumpkin field, Hopper finds a massive network of tunnels that are corrupted by the Upside Down. And as always, that recap comes from the great folks over at the Stranger Things fan wiki, which is strangerthings.wikia.com. So go check it out. They've got some great information over there about the show we all love. And with that, Addie, you ready to talk about the episode?
Sure.
All right, so let me just give a little bit of a story here. So last week, Addie and I had some discussion about the way our notes were formatted. And I had kind of put them together, grouped in the way, so we kind of kept the storylines together. Although it did make, I thought, for an awkward conversation throughout the podcast. And it meant that we talked about the ending scene of Will in the field like halfway through our discussion, which that wasn't very good. So I actually got multiple opinions this week, and it turned out I was the only one that liked doing it that way. And even really, it turned out I didn't like doing it that way. So here we are back to the way Addie prefers to do the episode breakdown, and that is talking about it scene by scene. So we get it kicked off. She just dabbed. We start this episode really where we left off, sort of, in the last episode, with Will out in the field outside of the school, and Joyce shows up at the school, sliding her car through the grass, looking for Will. Dustin's looking for Will. Lucas comes in, trying to find people because he knows where Will is. He's just discovered Will and he's looking for some help. And they all kind of run out to the field, which is what we predicted, or I guess you already knew last week, was, the continuation of Will getting kind of absorbed, the monster or whatever, was going to be that scene we saw in the trailer where everyone is standing around him and as Joyce is like trying to snap him out of it. And that's exactly what we have here. A really intense, really cool way to start the episode, I thought.
Mm-hmm. Whenever the monster is like kind of overtaking him and but no one else can see it, it kind of reminds me of Twilight when, it was after Bella gave birth to whatever her name is, and whatever, what was his name? Not Jacob, Edward.
I don't know why you're asking me about Twilight stuff. Okay.
It was after Edward bit her a whole bunch of times, trying to get her to turn into a vampire. She was on the inside, you could see her moving and the stuff going through her and overtaking her, but on the outside it looked like she was just still and calm. and actually they thought she was dead. So, yeah, it kind of reminded me of that.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. So it was it was really intense though. I mean, and it kind of, like I said, set the stage, for the episode. So Joyce takes Will home, obviously, and she's trying to ask him, what happened? Tell me what was going on. And he's not really being truthful with her. We know that. I think he doesn't really know what he can tell her. Like, will she believe him? Will she think he's crazy or whatever? And so Joyce shows him the drawing that she got from the video that he took Halloween night. And so it's at this point that he feels, I guess, safe enough to open up to her, like she is going to understand. And he says, "It got me, Mom. I felt it everywhere." And then he pauses and he's like, "Everywhere." It was so cool. And then he says, "I still feel it." I mean, this is, I don't know, as a parent, like I know this is all supernatural stuff we're talking about here in this show, but I don't know, man, that would just, I think Joyce handled it pretty well. I think I would totally freak out. But she does promise that nothing bad will happen to him again, which she can't promise. I know, like, you want to promise that to your kids. You want to reassure them. You want to comfort them, and that she will fix it. But again, she has no way of coming true on those promises. Those are promises she can't control.
Yeah. And whenever she hugs Will, she kind of like looks at the paper and she like looks mad, like, I'm going to protect my baby child. And yeah, can we just talk about how great of an actor Noah Schnapp is?
Yeah, let's do it.
He's like, there's a specific scene in episode 5 too that's really great, so I can't wait for you to watch that. But yeah, he's just amazing. He deserves an award.
Well, I loved him in this episode. This scene here with Joyce was fantastic. There's going to be a scene later on with Hopper, and in this episode in particular, we haven't got to see a lot of Will. I mean, in season 1, right? He was not in it a whole lot. Here we are. He's kind of getting showcased in season 2, which is great. I love that for Noah. And you're right. He's fantastic. Really getting to show his acting chops. And I can't wait to see that scene in episode 5. Mm-hmm. Okay. So in the last episode, I made several predictions. Like I tried to do every episode. I try to kind of make predictions on what I think is going on. And this is something you and I have talked about at length. Like, let's put our predictions out there. Sometimes you're going to be right. Sometimes you're going to be wrong. And I've got 4 of them that we're going to revisit in this episode today, 2 of which I got right, 2 of which I got wrong. This is the first one that I got completely wrong. Like, I predicted, I'm like, at the end of the last episode when 11 left the school, I'm like, I don't know where she's going to go. She can't go back to the cabin because she broke all the rules, and she knows that she's going to be in trouble if she goes back to the cabin. She can't go to the Wheeler's house because she just saw this thing with Mike and Max, and, she probably thinks that they like each other, and she's just going to go out into the woods and cry. I was wrong.
Yeah, she did not do that.
She went back to the cabin. And this was, I want to spend some time chatting about this. You and I have not talked about this scene at all. And I would really want to know your thoughts about this scene, what Hopper said, what she said, what he did, and what she did. Hopper said something like, "I protect, I feed, I teach. All I ask of you is to follow 3 simple rules," and you can't even do that. He tries to ground her from the TV. She won't let it move. And so he rips the cable out, and then kind of climaxes with he says, "If you want to go out into the real world, you better grow up." And then Elle screams and all the windows smash. And we saw the window smashing scene in one of the trailers too. I never would have predicted it was from Elle and Hopper having this fight. So I love the way that was completely misdirected, at least in my mind. So that's the scene. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I thought it was a really cool scene with all like the windows bursting out, and then she screams and starts crying. Because isn't the scene where she's like laying against the wall, isn't that also in the trailer? Oh,
I don't remember. It might be. I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, I think it was in the trailer, but yeah. There was like a discussion on it on like with the Stranger Things fandom on Instagram. Mm-hmm. We were like kind of talking about it, and we were like, wait, is that Mike or 11? And sure enough, it was 11. And I'm pretty sure she was wearing that same outfit. It might not have, but I'm pretty sure it was her. And we were trying to figure out where she was. And now we see that she was at the cabin.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what were your thoughts? I mean, one of the reasons I'm really curious about this is because, fortunately not very often, but you and I have had some shouting matches in our day. And, again, not very often. We try not to raise our voices, but, I think all of us lose our cool at some point. And sometimes we lose our cool off the deep end like they did here. So knowing that those types of shouting matches have happened between us, although I really don't remember the last time, but it's happened.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time it happened.
Did you find yourself empathizing with Elle, or did you find yourself going, she had it coming? Like, where did you fall in this?
I was kind of on both sides.
Yeah.
Because 11 was acting like a brat, and she shouldn't have done that. And she kind of reminds me of myself, whenever I was younger. And you would take away something, and then I'd keep screaming, and you'd take it away longer and longer and longer.
Yeah.
And eventually I'd give up, but she didn't give up, and she got it taken away forever. So,
yeah.
And Hopper, while we're on the subject, the next day, it looked like it was the next day.
Yeah, it did.
Whenever Hopper knocks on her door, that also that reminded me of you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'd be like, okay, if you clean your room, I might consider ungrounding it. Stuff like that. Because you used to say that sometimes. I mean, not if you clean up this place, then I might fix it. I mean, you didn't say that exactly, but I don't know. But I was also kind of on Hopper's side. I mean, okay, I was on both sides, I guess. I don't know. I couldn't really pick a side.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, they both have their valid points of view. I mean, I think I completely understand Hopper, where he's coming from, because I've been there. He's trying to protect her. He has a perspective that she doesn't have. And yet, she goes out there and breaks the rules and really does. Like I said in the last episode, Dr. Owens I'm pretty sure heard that walkie-talkie conversation. So, what she did was incredibly stupid and dangerous, and he has every right to be upset. I don't know if he has every right to be as out of control as he was, but I completely understand how you get to that point of view as a parent, and you're trying to protect, and you're trying to do what's best, and you're trying to teach, and all those things that he said. I think the part that bothered me the most was the next morning. He comes to the door and he's like, 11 or L, about last night, clean up this house and I'll think about it. And I thought he was going to apologize.
I did too.
And I was like, oh, and that is hard. That is so hard when you know that you crossed a line, but you know that they crossed a line too. And someone has to be the bigger person and apologize first. And sometimes you're like, it needs to be them this time. And
I thought for sure he was going to.
I know. So that was a bummer, but, so I don't know, and I'm really curious. We'll talk about some of the other things that happens in the cabin after he leaves, but their relationship right now is pretty rocky, and I'm really curious to see what happens next, and not only what happens next, but really how will it resolve? Will it resolve? Will there be an understanding that comes back between them? Because right now there's a big division, and yeah, it's kind of sad, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Joyce, back at the Byers house, Joyce takes Will's temperature, and this is kind of the first clue we have that something is actively going on, because Will seems kind of normal. I mean, we saw what we saw with the monster kind of going into him, and he did tell her that it's kind of, he still sees it or whatever he said or in that earlier conversation, but now we kind of see that it is physically, we haven't really been able to see the physical impact it's having on him until this. And she takes his temperature. It looks like it's 95 to me or something like that. Clearly lower than it should be, right?
Yeah, because normal is 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
Very good.
I Googled it.
You Googled it? I didn't know what it was Celsius. I just knew it was 98.6 Fahrenheit.
Well, whenever I originally Googled it, it told me in Celsius, and I was like, I don't know what that is.
What are we, in Canada or anywhere else in the world?
This is America.
That's right, America. she runs the bath. He complains that it's too hot. And then he says what might be the creepiest line in the entire episode.
He likes it cold.
You remember earlier in the season when we were talking about Will's goosebumps on his neck and how cool that was, like if it was real, if it was an effect, but it looked really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that when he said that, I think I got those same goosebumps. It was like, holy crap, he likes it cold. That was chilling, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, it makes me wonder. A couple of things I want to talk about here. I know you can't say too much because you've seen the end of the season. You know how it goes down. Assuming I'm assuming by the end of the season, they get rid of the shadow monster. I almost said smoke monster again. But I think this could give us a clue. He doesn't like heat, or he likes it cold, I guess is what he said. Remember Dart last week with the heat lamps? Dart didn't like it either. And I don't know if I said something last week, just to throw it out there in case I didn't. We're calling this thing the shadow monster, and I don't know why. I don't know that we've heard that. Well, Mike says shadow monster in this episode when he comes to see Joyce at the end. Well, what gets rid of shadows? Light. And because we also talked last week, did Dart not like the light, or did he not like the heat, or was it both? And I'm still not sure. I'm just, trying to put things together here, and I might be putting in things that just don't belong, or they shouldn't connect. But I'm just thinking that perhaps a way to expel or to defeat the monster might involve heat and light. Now, how they do that and what that means, I have no clue. But I just thought those are my thoughts at this point, because I have no idea how they're going to be able to defeat the shadow monster. Like, are they always going to depend on 11 to be able to defeat these creatures? And I mean, at this point, I would say yes, although perhaps Will be able to, do something to defeat that as well. But I don't know. I'm pretty clueless at this point. Okay, I mentioned earlier in the episode that there were 4 things we were going to revisit, 4 predictions. 2 of them I was right on, 2 of them I was wrong on. This is another one I was wrong on, and we're going to talk about this in a couple of segments. But we go to the park, we see Nancy and Jonathan sitting on the park bench, and I don't know how you felt the first time you saw this scene, but for me, I was freaking out because, again, I think they're going to the park to have a conversation with Barb's mom. And it's pretty clear right away that there are, spies, or I don't know how to, agents, whatever word you want to use there, all around them, and the camera did a great job of kind of identifying who those are. And then we even see some of them present themselves later on. But man, I was freaking out thinking they're dead. They're toast. They're not getting out of this. Not that they're not going to get out of it alive. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but I'm like, they're totally getting captured here. And then they get to the car and the car won't start. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is great. I will tell you this. I know that Charlie Heaton and Natalia, what's her last name? Dyer, thank you. Are obviously actors, and they are acting. But they also have to act like their character would in that situation. What I mean is, when they get into the car and it won't start, Nancy and Jonathan have to act like this isn't part of their plan, when in fact it is. So they did a good job. Nancy and Jonathan did a good job acting like, oh crap, we're in trouble, when in fact it was all part of their plan. Does that make sense?
Wait, what?
It's kind of meta. Like Natalia and Charlie have to act like they can't act like they normally would. They have to act as if Jonathan and Nancy are acting like they didn't want to be captured. And I thought they did a good job. I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but it's kind of a meta thing. Like your character is acting. You're not acting in that moment. Your character is the one acting. So
Jonathan and Nancy are pretending they don't want to be captured.
That's right. And they did a good job of it.
That's all you can say.
But I'm saying that the actors themselves have to... Okay, forget it. I've clearly overcomplicated things. I liked this scene.
I thought it was creepy and intense, but not as intense as some of the other scenes I've talked about in the past, like the one from season 1 and one from like a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
But I still thought it was really good. and like with all the spies everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty creepy. And whenever I first watched it and he like knocked on the window, that like kind of scared me because he was the guy reading the newspaper talking to himself.
That's right.
And then they just like completely surround the car.
Mm-hmm. What I'm still confused about, because they really did call Barb's mom, so why didn't she show up?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I don't...
Maybe she was late, just like all my friends to my birthday party yesterday.
Yeah, maybe. So maybe they went to her house and let the air out of her tires, or who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Did you see me just like call out my friends like that?
I did. Yeah, I see how you are. I'll be sure and tell them to listen to this episode. Okay, so after Hopper leaves the cabin, he gets the word he needs to go visit Joyce, and so he does. He visits Joyce and Will. We alluded to this scene earlier when we were talking about how great of a job Noah did in this scene. And we'll have an article in our news segment about this scene as well. This was really amazing. We saw a lot of this in the trailer where Will is doing those drawings and stuff like that. But he's trying to describe what is going on in his head. He says it's like old memories in the back of my head, only they're not my memories. They're now memories happening all at once now. What does that even mean? I've got an idea, but what do you think? What are your thoughts here on this scene?
But since like you could see the shadow monster like moving and stuff. Like
right.
He can move on its own. So I think it's like the shadow monster, like kind of like schizophrenia. Like whenever, I don't have schizophrenia, so I can't I don't know 100% about it, but like it's sometimes called something like with split mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like half of him is himself, and then like the other half is the shadow monster.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It could be that.
Definitely, I like that. I've got this note later, but I think I'll just mention it here. This is my prediction for one of the predictions for this episode, and what I think is when you see the shadow monster kind of moving, like you just talked about, we see it moving. I don't know. I think that's one of two things. Either it's kind of the shadow monster kind of moving through Will's neural networks in his mind. I don't think that's it. I think it's the shadow monster moving through the tunnels that we see Hopper discover at the end.
But what about on the Halloween, whenever the Halloween episode, whenever he was like just walking around like by himself, like there were no tunnels there because he was outside. He was like moving on his own still.
And you're talking about the shadow monster?
Yeah, and he wasn't like inside Will yet.
Yeah, no, you're right. So what I think is, that's what I'm saying is I think those are we're seeing the shadow monster move through the tunnels. I think the tunnels go all around underneath Hawkins. And, obviously what we see when Will starts doing those drawings, those are a map of the tunnels, which that's one of the predictions I got right in our predictions episode before the season started. We were talking about the trailer, and I said, I think those drawings are the tunnels, and I think that's a map of the tunnels. And that seems to be a prediction that is correct, although we just barely got the tunnels in this episode, so I won't 100% call it yet. But what I think those are is that's the way the shadow monster moves around the town, and it gathers intel. That's what these memories are. So as the shadow monster is moving through the tunnels, it's gathering information about the people, and so as it's gathering the information, Will is seeing those, and it's coming to him as memories, but it's happening right now. They're not his memories; it's memories of something else, and that's because the shadow monster is seeing and observing and creating those memories, and kind of, I don't know if it's using Will as like an external hard drive or what the purpose of Will is, but that's kind of what I think is going on.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. I know you can't say too much because obviously you know the answer. So, but that's my prediction for what's going on. But I loved when Will starts drawing, and Joyce again is so freaking amazing. She needs to be like, when all this is said and done, or even like tomorrow, Hopper needs to add Joyce as a detective, because she's got these skills. Like, she's the one that spotted the shadow monster on the videotape. We talked about last season. She's the one that figured out the lights and how to communicate with Will. And now she's the one that figures out that these go together. They're not just random scribbles on a paper, that they actually go to and piece together like this gigantic puzzle. And she's the one that, she's, oh, it's like dirt. And then Hopper's like, oh, they're vines, and so neither one of them were quite right, but it, without her kind of speaking, oh, was it lightning? Is it, whatever? She's awesome. It's like, she's really insightful and has not gotten enough credit for her insightfulness in her life, I think.
Yeah, she needs to get a job at the police station and not Fomart.
Well, she'd be a whole lot better than what's his name? The white
Bob?
cop.
Oh, I thought you were talking about. I don't remember.
Powell seems to be relatively competent. Officer Powell. The other guy, he's like Barney Fife. I don't even know why he's on the police force.
Yeah, he was the one that touched the stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Without gloves on.
Without gloves on, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Back at the lab, we'll get back to the Nancy and Jonathan scene here. Dr. Owens takes Nancy and Jonathan to the gate and has no problems just sharing everything with him. Like, he's not holding back at all, talks about their dead friend, and he's obviously threatening them. These aren't really, they're veiled threats, but not really veiled. He's like, what if the Soviets found out about our mistake? We all make mistakes. We've made this huge mistake. And what if the Soviets found out about our mistake? And we have to stop the truth from spreading, as they go in there with the flamethrower. And he's like, this is a weed and we have to take care of it, and by whatever means necessary. So it's like a veiled threat, but not really all that veiled, and totally gets to confession. And I didn't, even while this is happening and he's saying all this, I'm completely clueless that Nancy might be recording that entire conversation.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
Yeah, I just thought, and even as I rewatched, I'm like, at what point does she hit the recorder? And I guess she just had it recording the entire time, even when they were in the observation room. But yeah, I'm just like watching the scene going, oh my gosh, they're smoked. They whatever it is they thought they were going to accomplish is not going to happen. I just, again, clueless. So kudos to the writers and everybody who, at least for me, completely fooled me on this storyline.
Can we just agree that Dr. Owens is so much better than Brenner?
In terms of what?
He's nice. Like,
no, he's not.
He is.
No, he's not.
He is.
He's completely not nice.
Yes, he is. Dr. Brenner, like, locked up 11 and stuff, and Dr. Owens is actually, like, explaining like what happened to Nancy and Jonathan.
Yeah, you're right, but that doesn't mean Dr. Owens is nice. Dr. Owens will kill them in a second if he could get away with it. He is as maybe not as bad of a dude, because we haven't seen him experimenting on innocent children. He hasn't stolen children from their mothers and experimented on them, as far as we know. So
exactly.
So he's not as bad as Brenner, okay, but he's not a good guy by any stretch of the imagination.
Yes, he is.
He is not.
Yes, he is.
He's acting like he's helping Will, all the while just using that as a way to get information.
He was helping Will.
He's not helping Will.
Yes, he is.
He has no interest in helping Will. His only interest is getting information from Will so that they want to contain what's in the Upside Down and exploit it to their advantage.
Did you say yeet?
No, exploit it.
No, it sounded like you said yeet.
No. And Will is simply a tool for them gathering information so that they can further exploit whatever it is in the Upside Down to help defeat the Soviets or whatever their end game is. Completely untrustworthy. I think he's trying to
help him.
Completely bad motivation on him. No, I don't trust him at all.
Well, clearly they do trust him more than Brenner, because Hopper hates Brenner, because whenever he was fighting with 11, 11 says, "You're just like Papa."
Yeah, that was hurtful.
Yeah, like, ouch, don't compare me to that.
I know. He's like, I'm like that psychopath? Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
Yeah.
After what happened last year,
yeah,
you would have thought that Hopper and Joyce would have been smart enough not to go into the lab.
I know.
But they do. So they trust him, and he's a good person. The end. Okay, next scene.
No.
So
let's just agree to disagree on that.
No, we agree. Because I'm right, obviously.
Okay.
Billy sees Max talking to Lucas, and he says, there are certain types of people in this world that you stay away from, and that kid is one of them. And my first thought was, Billy's racist.
Yeah, that was not my first. I didn't even think about that at all on my first watch. On my second watch, like that was the first thing I thought of, and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't think of that the first time, because it sure seems like Billy, and we did talk about this a little bit in the car yesterday. There's nothing redeemable about, like, we just argued about whether or not Dr. Owens has some redeemable qualities about him. I think we can agree that Billy has no redeemable qualities about him, right?
No, he's cool.
Oh, shut it. You do not think that. I know that you don't think that
Better
about
than
him.
Steve.
No, he's not.
Better than Steve.
You're just trying to work me up here. It's not going to happen. Billy's just, he's the worst.
No, he's not.
Who's the worst then?
Dr. Brenner.
Okay, Dr. Brenner's not in this season.
No.
As far as what you can say at this point, who's worse than Billy?
Steve.
No, he's not. No, he is not, and you know it. You confessed last week that you're on Team Steve.
No, I did not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I don't like Steve. I'm still on Team Jonathan. Jonathan and Nancy should be together. I still hate Steve.
How can you hate Steve?
Because he's Steve.
Yeah. He's showing some great character growth and some redeeming qualities. Billy has not. I don't know if Billy is a racist or not. I don't think that's what he's going for here. I mean, like I said, they haven't really written Billy to have any redeeming qualities at this point, but to them pile on that he's a racist, I don't see the purpose of that. Like, I don't see how that adds to the story, because like I said, he's already just a piece of trash. So this is my theory. I know you can't say anything. I know you heard this in the car yesterday, but for our listeners, here's my theory. And I feel like my theories on Max and Billy are all over the place. Like, they go one direction one week, and then I see another episode and they go in a completely different direction. And I completely acknowledge that, which just goes to show I have no clue what's happening with Max and Billy. I said in the past that I think that Max is a science experiment. She has some sort of special powers that she's keeping hidden from everyone for her own protection. I still think that's true. And I felt like we got some indication either last week or the week before that Billy has these powers too, or he has something special about him too. And I still think that that's the case. But again, I have no idea what powers either of them have. Except, like I said at the very beginning, Max in the mobile game, there's something there that I think was probably a spoiler, but I don't know. And so we're just going to go with it until I know for sure. I think that, okay, so why would Billy say there are certain types of people in this world that you stay away from, and that kid is one of them? Why would he say that? Here's what I think. I think it's way too coincidental that Billy and Max wind up in Hawkins, Indiana. If indeed Max and maybe Billy have these special powers that are the result of some sort of scientific experiment, it's way too convenient that they would end up in, of all places, Hawkins, Indiana, that has a lab that, oh, by the way, experiments on children and gives them special powers, right? So why would they wind up here? There's got to be a reason. It can't just be coincidence. And I'm thinking that Billy's in on it. Now, whether or not he was an experiment that, you know, let's pretend that these kids were experimented on with the purpose of joining the government to create this super soldier army or something like that. Let's pretend that that's what's happening. And Billy's completely cool with that. He's totally on board with that. But he has to act like he's one of the kids in order to be in with the kids and gain their favor and help other kids become willing to not rebel against the system, essentially is what I'm saying, right?
Well, he's still not doing a very good job of that.
No, he's not.
He's just yelling at them.
He's not doing a very good job at that, but that's my best theory at this point. And because of that, that's why he brought them to Hawkins. It seems like he's the only family she has, and they're not family for real. We learned that. But they only have each other. There aren't any parents. It's just the two of them. Just the two of them.
Please stop.
We can make it.
Stop it. We don't have time for this.
All right, fine. So he brings her to Hawkins, closer to the lab, closer to be able to be observed, and he knows that Lucas and the boys know things about the lab because of what happened in season 1. He knows that they know, and that's why he's saying stay away from Lucas. It's not that he's a racist. It's that he knows that Lucas knows things about what's happening, and that he wants her to stay away because the more that she knows about what Lucas knows, the higher the likelihood is that she will break away from whatever he's trying to keep her involved with. Did that make sense? I don't know if it made sense. That's the best I know how to describe it because I've got all these weird thoughts going on, and that's the most sense I can make out of them.
Okay. Yeah, so my first thought was he's racist, and my second thought, like just now, was he saw them arguing. So,
right.
And you could tell that she was obviously upset. So I think he could have also been like trying to protect her, like since they were like fighting and stuff, and he obviously like hurt her feelings. Mm-hmm. Maybe he was trying to like tell her to stay away because he hurt her feelings.
Well, that's very nice of you to think that he would care that much about her to want her to stay away from people that might hurt her feelings.
Exactly.
I'm not willing to give him that much credit at all.
Better than Steve.
No way. Not even close. Not even close. Okay. Let's segue back over here to 11. Now she's cleaning the cabin and she finds a trapdoor. This is huge. She finds a trapdoor. She goes down there, finds a box marked Hawkins Lab. Naturally, that's going to draw her attention. She pulls it out. She finds this folder that's really about her mom. Where'd the box come from? Did Hopper put the box down there, or did that come from Hopper's grandfather? Where did that box come from?
I don't know. Since it had stuff about her mom in it, I think it was probably Hopper. Mm-hmm. Because if it was Hopper's grandpa, then how would he know about Terry? Like, right.
Yeah. No,
so I think it was Hopper.
Yeah, that's the way I think too. I mean, those other boxes down there, I think were older boxes from his grandfather. That's why I'm asking. But that box, I think, again, Hopper knows information from what we saw, what he witnessed in season 1. He has to act like that didn't happen. So he had to take that evidence and make it disappear. And that was where he chose to make it disappear, thinking that it was in a safe place where no one would find it. And honestly, it was a good spot. He had the chair covering it, and it was just kind of a random situation that caused 11 to find it. So she sees the article about Jane and a picture of Terry with Potato. Have we ever explained why we call Brenner Potato?
I don't know.
I only call him Potato because of you.
Okay, so in Spanish, Papa is Potato. And 11 calls Brenner Papa. What's the difference between Papa Potato and Papa? There's an accent.
So how do you pronounce? Like, what's the difference in pronunciation?
I think Papa meaning dad. I think it's Papa, like with the accent over it. And I can just Google it. Yeah, I was right with the accent.
Papa. Mm-hmm.
It could also be like Padre, and then mom.
So what is potato? If you do potato in there, what does Google Translate say? Because isn't there another word for potato besides papa?
Patata.
Patata, yeah. But yeah, so that's an alternative word. But I just find more pleasure in calling him Potato. I don't know if you guys find it funny or annoying, but I find it funny, so I'm going to keep calling him Potato. Yeah, what? If you type in Papa, P-A-P-A.
It went to dad.
It translated as dad, so.
Hold on. Yeah, it could be La Papa or La Patata.
Uh-huh. There you go. So we'll continue to call him Potato. At least I will.
That's not going to get annoying.
All because of Addie. She's very smart. I talked last week. In fact, I think I ranted a little bit last week. She's very intelligent. And so for some of the decisions that she made were completely out of character. Here, we get to see her intelligence on display. She has this file with a picture of Papa and this woman.
You called him Papa, not Potato.
The Potato and this woman and Terry and this person, Jane. And she just puts 2 and 2 together and says, oh, Terry must be my mom and I must be Jane. I don't know how she put all that together. Again, she's reading all these files and there's plenty of information there for her to have made that connection. We didn't need to see her specifically make that connection because we already knew the connection. So I'm completely okay with that. But I loved what follows here, right? I mean, she uses the radio static and the blindfold to go into the void, and she sees
upside down
Terry. Well, it's the black. I call that the void. It seems like I saw that somewhere in a forum or something like that. Someone called it the void, and I just loved that. So that's what I use. That's what I call it. I love this, where she goes in there and she sees Terry. Terry's muttering things: rainbow, 3 to the right, 4 to the left, 450. I think we're going to see those words. I think those words mean something. I think we're going to see those again before the season is over. My question for you is, besides what your thoughts were on this scene, did Terry see Elle? We saw the scene earlier in the season where Mike and Elle, like Elle went to the void to see Mike, and it looked like they connected, like he saw her, but of course he didn't. This time, did Terry actually see 11? What do you think?
I think she did.
I do too.
Just like how Mike did see 11, but like didn't see her at the same time. But like he kind of felt her presence.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was like the same thing, but like she didn't react in real life.
I think it's different than that. I think that what you said about Mike is true. Like Mike felt her presence, but just felt like it was just his imagination. I think Terry saw 11. I think that maybe Terry is stuck in the void. Like she looks like she's completely out of it to the rest of the world because she's stuck in the void, or I don't know. Completely making this up. I never really thought about it until now. But we know that she was experimented on, so it would not surprise me if she has the ability to see into the void and she actually saw 11. I think she 100% saw Jane. It really not 11.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. It was really sad though, because I mean, 11 sees her, she goes to touch her, and she disintegrates, and she's left all alone, screaming "Mama" and crying. It was sad. It was one of those heartstring moments for me.
Aww.
Okay, how will 11 treat Hopper? Is this going to be a friends don't lie type of moment for her, where she's going to say, you told me my mom was gone? We talked about this again earlier in the season when they were talking about her mom, and I was like, what's going to happen when she finds out? You know, is she going to say, well, yeah, technically she's gone because she's completely out of it, or is she going to think that he was lying to her, like her mom is dead? You know, because we talked about the way that Elle has even used that word "gone" versus "dead." So I don't know. I know you can't say too much, but do you have any thoughts you can share?
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I just think it'll be really interesting to see how this kind of comes to a head. Nancy and Jonathan leave the lab, and this is when we get the revelation that Nancy had recorded his confession and that it was a trap. And I was blown away. I had no idea that so in the last episode, I guess they didn't buy a phone that wasn't bugged. That was my theory, right? They went to Radio Shack, they bought a phone that wasn't bugged. I guess she really did buy a Walkman so that they could record the whole conversation. Like when she told her mom, "Oh, my Walkman broke, I had to buy a new one." I guess that was more truthful than like the whole thing. I was completely bamboozled by this, never saw it coming, and I'm so glad. This is so much better. Like what I don't know is like, what are they going to do with the information? Like, who are they going to take it to that can do anything? Like they're in Indiana. The biggest city is Indianapolis. So they're going to take it to Indianapolis to the newspaper there, or to the TV or the radio station there, and hope that they do something with it, because we're talking about a huge, massive government cover up here. So what do they plan on doing with it? And even if they take it to somebody, what power do they think that they have that this information won't just get buried and never see the light of day anyway, or that they'll be believed, even with this confession? So I'm still really confused on what they actually think they're going to be able to accomplish with this information. But I totally love the fact that they had this really clever plan and they pulled it off perfectly.
Yeah. I know exactly what to do with the information.
I know you do. I've never been more happy to be wrong about a theory than this one here. This one was really, so clever, so well done, and I can't wait to see how this one plays out. All right, next scene that we got. Oh my gosh, this is one of those scenes like I didn't want the episode to end without resolving this scene. So Dustin gets home. We didn't really talk about the scenes like at the schoolyard with them digging through dumpsters trying to find Dart. I had completely forgotten, to be honest with you, Addie, that Dustin hid Dart under his hat in the previous episode. Because I'm like, what do you mean they're looking for Dart? Oh yeah, he hid Dart under his hat and didn't tell them and took him home. So they're all still looking for Dart. And then Dustin gets home because now he knows this is real. I don't know what he thinks he's going to do. I don't know what he thought he was going to do with Dart, whether he was going to continue to try to hide him or whether or not he was going to come clean on it. I don't know. But he comes home. Dart has broken out of the aquarium. He shed his skin and there's a blood trail.
And he picks it up.
Yeah,
Ew.
that was gross, wasn't it? Yes. The mom is out there going, Muse, dinner time.
Actually, no, she said, mew, mew.
Yeah, you're right. Oh my gosh. I was right. This is one of the predictions I got right. And that was that Dart is the Demogorgon.
Rip Muse.
Rip Muse. Did you find this scene amusing?
Me and Colby thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Rip Muse.
This was like, what's going to happen now? Like, Dustin and his mom. Dustin is alone in a room with a Demogorgon. Now, it's not a full-size Demogorgon, but I wouldn't want to be trapped in a room with that or alone in a room with that. His mom, he's really fortunate that they had a cat. Otherwise, he could have come home and that thing was snacking on his mom. This is a huge deal. Last week, I said that they needed to take that slug thing out to the outback and hit it in the head with a brick until it was dead. And when I said that, I thought, man, that sounds really violent and maybe uncalled for. No, it wasn't. It was great advice. I wish they had, been there to take it from me. They don't have a Demogorgon on their hands and the shadow monster. I'm freaking out. What's going to happen with this? Like 11, they don't even know where 11 is. 11 was the only thing that could get rid of the Demogorgon, and it was at the expense of her own life.
Lucas's wrist rocket.
The wrist rocket had nothing to do with it.
Yes. Whenever the Demogorgon's mouth was open, he used the wrist rocket to force him into the wall because that was the Demogorgon's weak spot. And 11 just finished him off.
Listen, for Dustin's sake, and for his mom's sake and for everyone else in the city of Hawkins, I hope you're right. I hope that somehow the wrist rocket can have some sort of impact on the Demogorgon. And I hope that while it's in this adolescent or toddler state, whatever state it's in right now, it's weak enough where they can do something about it. Because we saw how terrifying that thing is last season. And
you also see how fast it's growing.
Well, it's growing hugely fast. I don't know if that's real words or not.
Hugely fast. Yeah. So I can't wait tonight after I edit this episode, I'll finally get to watch episode 5. And this is like the continuation of this storyline is one of the things that I am most anticipating. Like, how the heck, what is Dustin going to do? How's he going to get out of the house? What's he going to say to his mom? What's he going to, like, are they going to try to trap it in the house so that they can like burn the house down and kill the demon? What are they going to do? Can you tell that this scene was like, it really got me? Rip Muse.
Yeah, I found it pretty amusing. Okay. So after talking with Joyce about the things that Will was drawing, Hopper and Joyce talk about it. He says it's vines. He puts 2 and 2 together, goes to the pumpkin patch and starts digging. First off, I have to give Hopper some credit. He seems like he's a fairly buff guy. But holy cow, did he dig a very, very big hole just by himself with a single shovel. Personally, I don't think that's possible, but I got to get up to Hopper. That was a huge hole with a shovel.
Yeah. And we see this part in the trailer, like when he like reaches the bottom of it, and like where it's kind of sticky, you see him like have 2 hands on the shovel and then just like push it down.
Yeah.
You see that in the trailer. And whenever I thought that I saw that, I thought he was gonna like, I mean, obviously digging something up, but I thought he was gonna be like I don't know, digging up like someone's grave. Like I thought it was gonna be like Will's like old dead body or Barb's, something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, those are great thoughts. I mean, certainly, I don't know why you would have ever thought that it was what it turned out to be.
Yeah, I mean, there was nothing. I mean, like, wasn't the paper like when he was like drawing? Wasn't that in the trailer?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
but I couldn't have put that together. I'm not Hopper.
Yeah, well,
or Joyce.
Yeah, and that was one of the predictions I got right. Was that again? I said this already. I think it's a map of the tunnels. Okay, so yeah, he digs, and then again, Hopper's a brave guy. He's a cool dude. He's very competent for, especially what above and beyond what you would normally find in a town this size. I said that last season, but holy cow, he's brave enough to go down in this tunnel. And I loved when he hits the tunnel and the camera starts panning around or rotating around, and to show he's in the upside down. So when the episode ends, he is actually upside down.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, great ending to the episode. Really suspenseful. I don't know how he's going to get out of the tunnel. It's not a very tall tunnel. It looks like it's maybe 6 inches above his head. So maybe he can just jump up and like climb his way back out of it. Or is he going to go explore? Again, this will really intrigue me too. Like what's Hopper's next move? Does he come out of the tunnel and go to the lab and go, guys, get your flamethrowers? Or does he go exploring? Does he go back to Will and try to get more information? Does he go get Powell and Barney Fife? And I don't know. There's so many different directions this could go. And I'm really intrigued to see and really anxious to see what happens with this. And again, like I said at the top of the show, this episode really kicked things off with the Nancy and Jonathan storyline, Will being consumed by the monster, where he's speaking for it, Hopper discovering the tunnels, the revelation that Dart was a Demogorgon. Gosh, so many things happened in this episode. It was wonderful. Wonderful episode.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about the episode?
No.
No?
Just the rating.
All right. What was your rating?
My rating for this episode was 10 dead cats.
See, there was only 9 lives and he needed 10. So he's a dead cat. I almost gave mine as cat snacks. That was mine was what mine was. Instead, I ended up on 9.5, and man, it should be a 10. I've raved about how good this episode was. Why don't you go ahead and change that to a 10? There you go. Addie's officially changing it in our notes to a 10.
I can't type.
No, you can't.
There we go.
10 secret recordings.
That does not say 10
It says 100,000 secret recordings. Because again, I just thought that blew my mind. It was so much far better than what I had imagined they were doing, and I loved it. All right. You know what else I love, Addie?
Me.
That is true, sweetheart. I do love you.
You don't.
I also love Doctor Who, and we have a wonderful Doctor Who podcast here on the Golden Spiral Media Podcast Network. Here's a promo for you to check out about Don't Blink.
Doctor Who fans, sci-fi aficionados, and general supporters of time travel the world over, after listening to this podcast, please check out our fellow Golden Spiral Media podcast devoted to the hit BBC show Doctor Who, hosted by
us, David Ward and Wayne Henderson.
And whether you're a new fan or an old hunk of coal like me, this is the show for you.
And since the 10th incarnation of the Doctor advised us to never blink, David, you entitled this GSM Doctor Who podcast, Don't Blink.
That's exactly right. So join us and other Don't Blink listeners on Apple Podcasts or Android.
And of course, at don'tblinkpodcast.com. And remember,
don't blink. Don't even blink.
All right. And you know what, Addie? I know you're not into Doctor Who as much as your brother and I are, but I am really excited about the new season. Not the new season, the Christmas special that's coming up now in just over a month. And I know we've got some listeners out there that are excited about it as well. In fact, the guys, David and Wayne, got some feedback in just this week, even though their podcast has been off since the season wrapped. People are excited about the new Doctor and about the Christmas special. So if you haven't got caught up on the podcast, now's the perfect time to do that before the Christmas special comes around.
Ew.
All right. You ready for some feedback?
Sure.
It's coming.
like it. You got your groove on a little bit there during the music. Nice job.
No, I didn't. I don't dance.
Okay.
I don't dance. I don't dance.
Please stop.
I know you can't.
Don't do that.
Not a chance.
If I don't get to sing, you don't get to sing. All right. We got some good amount of feedback in this week, and we're going to get it kicked off with Alex. And he says, "Hi, guys. My name is Alex. First of all, I wanted to say that I'm enjoying listening to your weekly take on season 2 of Stranger Things after having just simultaneously binged through season 1 of both the show and your podcast. You guys do an amazing job."
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thanks. So I actually just turned 33 years old this past Halloween, which means that the Halloween being portrayed October 31st, 1984 is the day I was making my entrance into this world from being in the upside down of my mom's womb for the past 9 months.
Aw.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But were you born in Hawkins, Indiana? I don't think so.
Well, since Hawkins, Indiana isn't a real place.
Yes, it is.
All right. Alex continues. You can imagine the ear-to-ear smile I had as I watched the boys trick or treat with my DOB time-stamped all over the episode. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Wait, are you done?
No, there's one more little paragraph here. He says, "You mentioned the camcorder that Joyce looks through with Bob's technical support. Not sure if you noticed, it's a JVC GR-C1, which is the exact same camera Marty McFly has in Back to the Future, which came out in 1985. That comes in from Alex. I did not notice that, and I didn't double check you. I just believe you if you're. I assume you've done your research, so I don't have to. And that is really cool. I wish I had noticed that little Easter egg or tie into our cultural connections. So, happy belated birthday to you, Alex. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
Yeah, whenever they said November 6th in season 1, I was like, ooh, that's 20 days away from my birthday.
It is 1 week. We're going to be recording our next episode on your birthday.
Let's not.
Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll do a live show. We might even do something special for your birthday during the live show.
You better.
Well, but we'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned to our Facebook page. That's where we always announce when we're going to do the live show and stuff like that. All right, Addie, you want to take the next one?
Sure. So Ben T says, "Hey guys, Ben back again for episode 4. Now this episode brings me the introduction of what I would like to call baby Demogorgon, because what the heck, he killed a cat." That was pretty funny. But still, seeing Eleven find her mom was very, very emotional. Also, why was Will making those drawings? But again, sorry, Addie. Until next time, stay strange.
I don't think he's sorry. I don't think he's sorry.
Probably not. I mean, he's just stealing it every single time.
Yeah.
By the way, I pulled up the lyrics for I Don't Dance.
Oh, that's not necessary. Back in season 1, I think it was for our episode about the Upside Down, episode 8. Do you remember I had a theory on what might be going on? Like where the Demogorgon came from?
Didn't you say like an egg or something?
Yes, but more specifically,
I don't know.
An alien. I predicted that the Demogorgon might be an alien, which I wasn't really excited about, but that was my theory. Well, I would like to say, and I'm glad Ben pointed this out because I meant to mention it earlier and completely forgot. I think that this episode proved that the Demogorgon is an alien.
How?
Not only did it prove it's an alien, it proved it's an alien life form. It's an alien life form. What would the acronym for that be?
ALF?
How would you pronounce that?
ALF? Alf?
Alf. I would pronounce it Alf. And it's like it's from the planet Melmac. And I would guess that Melmacian aliens like to dine on cats. And I think that this probably proved that.
What?
So some of you are with me right now. There was a show. Let me see when it was on. It was in the 80s. Let's just say Alf TV show. Alf premiered. First episode, 1986. Final episode, 1990. So it was on for 4 years.
Really?
And, yeah, that's math for you. And you should look up Alf. You might have seen him before. ALF. It stood for Alien Life Form. He was from the planet Melmac, and in Melmac, cats were the food of choice. In fact, this show was so popular, it got its own Saturday morning cartoon, and it was quite popular. So I think that this proves it. I think this was a subtle nod to us that the Demogorgon may not be from Melmac, but he's an alien life form who also likes to dine on cats, just like Alf would.
He looks kind of familiar.
Yeah, it's quite popular. All right, let's move on to some audio feedback. This comes in from Justina.
Hi, Daryl and Addie. Wow, 11 really broke my heart this episode. Watching her anguish was really difficult. Also difficult, learning the fate of Dustin's cat. Who will Dart's next victim be? I am really worried. The 1984 thing that stuck out to me? Mike using the payphone to check on Will. I remember having to use those at school when it was time for my mom to pick me up from after-school activities. You always had to have your dimes and your quarters handy. This episode gets 9 out of 10 interesting file folders. Please stop by the website and take my poll this week on Will, Nancy, and Jonathan's plan to destroy the lab succeed. Have a great week.
Excellent.
Ooh, can I go answer the poll?
Yeah, and Justina, thank you for mentioning the poll. I completely forgot to mention that last episode, even though she asked me to.
What website's it on?
goldenspiralmedia.com, and just click on the Stranger Things podcast. This is, of course, season 2, episode 4. And you'll see Justina writes the blog post every week. You know, we did a call out at the beginning of the season asking for someone to do those. Justina answered that call, and she's also doing a poll each week. So yeah, please go over there and check that out. goldenspiralmedia.com/Stranger Things. And I take it she was not as amused by the Demogorgon eating the cat scene as you and I were. All right. Addie, do you have anything you want to add to Justina's feedback? Have you ever had to use a payphone?
No, but I know a song about payphones.
You going to sing it for us?
Yeah, actually, I can do that.
No, it's not necessary.
Nope, it is necessary. I'm at a payphone trying to call home all of my change I spent on you. Where have the times gone, baby? It's all wrong. Where are the plans we made for two? If happy ever after did exist, I would still be holding you like this. And all those fairy tales, I'm full of it. One more stupid love song, I'll be sick. 'Cause I'm at a payphone.
Nice.
Delete that part.
I think I'm going to keep that in. I think that's staying in. That was quite good.
Fine, but you have to put so much auto-tune on it.
I don't think it needs auto-tune. You know what we need, though, for sure? We need to read Colby's feedback. You want to take that? This is Colby Murray, not Colby, your brother, my son.
Not Colby, my baby brother.
Yes.
So Colby, my not baby brother, says, I love this episode, how it ends with the tease. I also liked how the intensity picked up finally, and there's now stakes. This season is really good so far. Yes, I agree.
I agree as well. All right, well, that's all the feedback we got in for this episode. We would love to have your feedback for the next episode. Now, keep in mind, you can send feedback in for any episode throughout the rest of the season. You can even give your season reflection thoughts and that sort of thing. We'll put those in a folder. We'll save those for when we get ready to talk about those episodes. So all feedback can be left on any of our social media channels. Addie's going to give those in just a moment. You can do that at goldenspiralmedia.com/feedback, or you can dial our voice feedback line, which is 304-837-2278. That's right. You want to give the social media?
So our Instagram is Stranger Things GSM. Our Twitter is Upside Down GSM, and our Facebook is www.facebook.com/groups/Stranger Things GSM.
Very nice. All right, Addie. This we had the opening teaser this week of burning down the lab. That was our great quote. I'm glad you picked that one. But what was the quote of the week?
The quote of the week is, "He likes it cold."
Mom.
Yes, sweetie. What is it?
It's too hot.
I can cool it down a little bit, baby, but we gotta get your body temp back up.
No.
What?
He likes it cold.
It's a really good scene. A pretty chilling quote you picked out there.
You mean a colding quote?
Are you winking at me? That doesn't make that joke any better.
Did you know that I didn't care?
I didn't know that. You ready to talk about some news?
Sure.
All right, we have 2 news items for you again this week. I think we had 2 last week, but this one comes in from vulture.com, and the title is How Stranger Things Made the Sprawling Tunnel Maps in Will's House. And I teased this article earlier. I'm just going to read a couple of excerpts from the article for you. And it says, we wanted to harken back to the crazy set piece and the lights from season 1, but we wanted to do it in a way that was meaningful and served the story other than just, oh, we have to do something crazy in the Byers' house again. And that's from Chris Trujillo, the production designer for the show. He goes on to say, I think it's a pretty elegant way of achieving that callback to the Christmas lights. Although it was a simple idea, the execution itself was grueling. Quote, it was a slightly laborious creative process to arrive at the drawings of the tunnel system, said Trujillo. It was an ordeal. First, they had to actually map the tunnel system of the Upside Down to a corresponding map of Hawkins. Okay. And he says, we invented a map of Hawkins last season and we refined it this season so there is a working sense of what the geography of Hawkins is. We had to hone in on how representational and true to scale what he was drawing could be based on the square footage of the interior of the house and how big Hawkins is. That's crazy. He goes on to say, we really did our best to try and ground it in some sort of consistent, rational physics. All told, according to the property master Linda Rice, there were about 3,000 sheets of paper for a single iteration of the map. 3,000 sheets of paper for a single iteration. Do you know how many sheets are in a ream? Like, when we get that.
500?
Yeah. So 6 of those to make one iteration of the map. And she says that they had to create multiple copies of the map because sheets would inevitably get damaged during production. She says, quote, you can't just leave them there unprotected because if you walk, you'll tear the paper. Actually, that was from Matt Duffer. And that's a quote he gave to Jen Chancey of Vulture. And the quote goes on to say they had cardboard all over the floors. I mean, it was a nightmare. I'm not going to lie. In terms of execution, the drawings were done by the scenic artists who would use crayon, color pencils, and other materials that would readily be accessible to the Byers household, and they wanted to maintain realism as much as possible. If you look closely, some of these drawings are done on newspaper and on the back of wrapping paper, and Trujillo says they were tearing up phone books after we went through what would be a believable amount of drawing supplies for Will. Now, Noah Schnapp, who is the actor, of course, who plays Will, even did his fair share of the drawings. He was there drawing for hours, said Trujillo. In most cases, we put a mostly finished drawing in front of him, and he was just scribbling for the last minute. He definitely got a real workout with his little arm there.
Aww.
So, yeah, that's incredible, though. I mean, you see these things on set and you don't appreciate just the monumental amount of work that goes into creating those things.
Yeah, I always think about like whenever they're like drawing scenes like that, I always wonder if they're making the actors do it or if someone's like doing it for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of glad to have that information. Like whenever Joyce was like drawing the shadow monster from the TV, I wonder if she actually did it the whole thing, because it didn't really look like she did, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. So cool. There's more to that article. Again, that's over at vulture.com. And we have one more that Addie's going to take for us. And I'm not sure if she's seen this yet.
I have.
Okay. I tucked this at the bottom of the notes just in case you hadn't. It would be a nice surprise for you.
I've been following. So this is about Finn Wolfhard's band Calpurnia. And I've been following them on Spotify for a while. I don't know if it's like a fake account or if it's actually them. But yeah, I've been following them on Spotify forever. Like since it was first teased, like, I don't know. It was a long time ago,
yeah.
Because I knew he was making a band. So yeah, so this is Calpurnia, fronted by Stranger Things star Finn Wolfhard, signed to Royal Mountain Records. This is from pastemagazine.com. So I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Vancouver, Canada quartet Calpurnia came together when Finn Wolfhard and drummer Malcolm Craig happened to meet on the set of a music video shoot. They hit it off right away with guitarist Aya Tesler-Mabe and bassist Jack Anderson later getting in on the act. Now, Calpurnia have signed to Royal Mountain Records and are now set to record their debut EP with Twin Peaks guitarist Caden Lake James, targeting a 2018 release. Wolfhard, best known for his performances in Stranger Things and It, said in a statement, "It is so sweet. We have such a good team at Royal Mountain Records. I love everyone in it. I'm extremely excited to record our EP with Caden Lake James. Not only is he in one of my favorite bands of all time and recorded some of my favorite songs, he's also the sweetest guy ever. Thanks everyone so much who helped us out along the way. It means the world. Heart." Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
You're welcome. So that's exciting. I know you're 10 times more excited than I am, and I'm pretty excited for him. So congratulations, guys.
So, you know what it's time for? The meme of the week. So this one comes in from Jeff Childs on Facebook, and the meme is, with the caption, "Steve's hair is a Fibonacci sequence." It's a picture of Steve's hair with a golden spiral around it. Yeah. So with that, we want to hear your thoughts about each episode.
Hang on. We got to camp out here for just. I know you're trying to prevent me from saying mispronouncing meme of the week. I promise I will not mispronounce as long as we get to hang out here for just a minute. So for those of you who aren't aware, and I hope you are, the Fibonacci spiral or the golden spiral, which technically they're slightly different, but you know, our network is named Golden Spiral Media, and we named it that because the Golden Spiral was featured in Fringe, and Fringe was the very first TV show we ever podcasted about. And you know, it was the kickstart to this podcast network. So when this came into our Facebook page, it definitely was instantly, Addie and I loved it, and we're like, oh, that's our meme of the week. So thank you, Jeff. And it seems like it's the perfect meme for a podcast on our network that deals with Stranger Things. So yeah, go over to the website and check that out if you haven't already, which is goldenspiralmedia.com. All right, Addie, I think that means we've reached the end of the podcast.
We want to hear your thoughts about each episode of Stranger Things. Send in your feedback at 304-837-2278 or our feedback page. You can keep the conversation going on social media, and our Instagram is Stranger Things GSM. Our Twitter is Upside Down GSM, and our Facebook is www.facebook.com/groups/Stranger Things GSM.
Excellent. Well, I have to say, it is always a whole lot of fun podcasting about Stranger Things with you. Now I get to finish wrapping up the edit on this episode, and I finally get to go watch episode 5, which I hear is a really good one. So I'm really excited about that.
Mm-hmm. I think you'll know the scene I'm talking about, where his acting is 10 out of 10.
No snap.